paper or phone? Paper or phone? White background, black text. Black background, white text. Which is easier? I don't know. Paper does this. Phone does this. Probably that one. Probably the quieter one. And it's, oh God, there's so many notes here. Oh boy. I guess I just gotta get right into this and quit putting it off because whatever. Hi. Welcome to me saying for the next probably like hour and a half. I don't know what this is. This is, okay, well, let's just start at the beginning. Follow the notes, Drew. Follow the notes. A sort of podcast audio diary thing. I don't really want to call this, and I'm not going to go point for point. I'm going to try to hide these as I go just to kind of whatever. So I don't want to call this a podcast. I don't really know how things are quantified or like, I don't know, whatever as a podcast. I just sort of do things. This is more of sort of like me to pick something out that I've been doing recently and sort of talk about it, good, bad, or otherwise. Probably mostly games. There's not really like a video to it. Maybe if I continue doing this, maybe I'll like get some footage so that like things I talk about throughout the video can be shown. That might make sense. But for now, this is just kind of a test. I've been looking for a sort of way to start making videos again. So naturally, the first thing I picked was just, hey, let's talk about a game with no video. I started to record video, but it quickly kind of ballooned. And then I was just like, I'm going to get back to my original plan, and we're just going to do this. I'm just going to talk, and it's going to suck, and that's okay. I'm not out here trying to make video essays. I don't feel like I have anything interesting to say, at least in this, maybe. I don't know. If nothing else, hopefully you won't find my voice as annoying as I do when I'm going to be editing this. So why am I doing this? I'm not going to try to trauma dump here. But so the last couple of years, for whatever reason, I've just been having a hell of a time really sitting down and playing games. I don't know if it's just that I've gotten older and maybe I'm slowly like falling out of it. I had a kid that helped. That just kind of threw everything out of whack, especially for like the whatever. I was funny enough, a high school esports coach for a little while, and doing that every day after school till like 7 p.m. I think it just took a lot out of me. And so that all, kid aside, that all started like 5 years ago when I made like the first and currently like only video on this channel, that Lore Master World of Warcraft video. And whenever I was doing that, I kind of, one of the ways that I edited that was I went through my footage, just kind of had a headphone in, just kind of listening to the music, taking it all in. And I took notes as I went. And I found that, I don't want to say therapeutic, but in a way it almost was. And I wanted to try to sort of recapture that a little bit. So this is mostly just a creative outlet. I want to get back to doing stuff again. Life has sort of stabilized, and I'm calling this a sort of like palate cleanser. As you can see in the title, today's topic, everybody, is Fable. It's a game that I played a lot as a kid, and I kind of figured it was like like a safe place. I can kind of pay attention. Let me phrase that. I can play through it on, I guess, like memory to an extent, and I'll take it slow and try to see things I didn't see. Maybe come up with something interesting to say. I got lost and already had to make an edit, so that's great. Yeah, just Fable. Fable's cool. I like Fable. I have the old like CD-ROM for the Lost Chapters in a box in like the other room. It was whenever I built my gaming PC. It was like one of the first games I got. I don't even know that I ever even opened it. It might still be sealed. I got it. It was used, but it was still sealed from like a local game store, so that's kind of cool. I haven't played a lot of the Lost Chapters. Most of my time playing the game was kind of like on my OG Xbox and then my 360 until the disc just died. And then I was forced to get the Lost Chapters. I think I had like the Platinum Hits version. And I played that also, I believe, until the disc died. Or maybe I just lost it. I don't know. Or maybe I just built a PC and said, oh, I'm going to play this on PC. I don't know. It's not like I sat down every single day and played Fable. It was just I have a thing where I go back like regularly and play games. That's just kind of how I do things. I don't know. I'm probably like 30 playthroughs into Pokemon Emerald right now. It's a problem. This all kind of came about because I was just like, oh, hey, Steam sales have started. Hey, that's $8. I'll pick up Fable Anniversary. So for this one, I played Fable Anniversary just to maybe, try something a little different. I will say that starting out those character models, though, with the new textures over them, that's interesting. I don't really have much else to put it. It kind of feels like they just stretched new textures over old models, and so they still move like really uncanny, and I don't know, it kind of weirdly captures the jank from like the original game from back in the day, but in like a different way. I don't know how else to explain it. It was just kind of like whatever. Anyway, couple quick notes just before I jump into part 1 of this. Quick note. Jesus. This is terrible. I'm going to make fun of myself here. Quick note. I have never done anything like this, and I'm just kind of using my organized notes in a list style. Since there's no video, we're going off nothing other than vibes. If you don't know anything about Fable, feel free to skip this entire video. I'm going to be jumping all over the place, and with no reference, this will be a chaotic mess. Let's continue. Part 1. So, starting out, kind of like I said, I had every intention of playing this game slowly and just kind of absorbing it and trying to find like new things. Just to kind of touch on like the intro a bit. I'm not going to go too crazy, but it is weird. I've not played this game since I have had a kid, and I don't know why, but things just hit a little differently. And I will say that after going through that like initial opening cutscene, doing all the chores, getting all the money or whatever from your dad for your sister's birthday gift, and my flashlight just turned on, I decided to use my phone to read the notes instead of my thing, and it won't turn off. Oh my god. Yeah, the intro, it hit a little different. I'm a dad now. I don't really have much else to put there. It's just kind of a weird thing. I was like, oh, that's like extra sad. So you do your chores, you get your sister a box of chocolates, and as soon as you deliver them to her, your town is basically ransacked by bandits, and everybody in your family is allegedly killed. A guy named Maze just kind of pops in to rescue you, and then immediately makes fun of you for throwing up after using the teleporter. And it's just like, my guy. Especially with things we find out later, like, you knew this kid was going through a lot, like, just chill, man. But so I was going through, I basically just blitzed through the very beginning part, including running around the guild, kind of learning, just the tutorial part of the game, basically. But just like, I was taking my time, and there's like little things that I had just never noticed. One being, there is, if you go when you're still a child, and maybe it does it when you're older too, I don't know, whatever. If you go through or to Maze's quarters, there is a little cutscene of him talking to a hero named Scythe, who is like kind of like an important character way down the road in the Lost Chapters content of the game. And maybe that's not in the original game. I don't know, that maybe that's why I didn't know about it, but I was just like, I'm going to go everywhere. And I walked in and I was like, whoa, cutscene. That's cool. So yeah, that was kind of neat. Little thing, just that I think only I would notice. And if you go in the dorms of the guild, like while you're a kid, so there's like 20 beds up top, and all of them are made except for 2. So there's your room, which you share with your childhood friend Whisper. I think it's her bed that's undone. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. You kind of know that one. But of all the other beds, they're all nicely made, and they're all in separate rooms, except one. And I thought that was kind of neat. There's just one other unmade bed. I don't know what that's about. That's probably nothing. But yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, hey, that's what this kind of little video thing I'm going to make is going to be. Just fun little observations like that. And oh boy, does that not happen. And then just like little side stuff I think I missed. Like in the guild, there's like oh my god, there's a servants' quarters. I almost said something very different. There is a servants' quarters. It's high fantasy, you never know. But in this servants' quarters, servants, there is a lady who's like, "Hey, we need apple pie or apples to make apple pie. You want to run around the guild and get them?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And you give her the apples, and she's like, "Cool, here." And she gives you a blueberry pie for the quest reward. And I'm just like, I never knew that was there. That was kind of neat. There's not a whole lot else to say about the guild. It's a tutorial. It's just kind of introducing you to the beginning of the game. So I did all that. I finished everything. And then as soon as I finished that, I did the Wasp quest. Wasp quest, everybody. And then I was just like, hey, what if? And then I was so rudely cut off by the guildmaster saying, hey, Maze wants to meet you in Bowerstone. You know, the dude who saved you as a kid. Go talk with him. And I was like, fuck that. What if instead I just tried to go as far as I could? I've never just like gone way off the beaten path in the very beginning of the game. So I was just like, I wonder how far I could make it. Turns out, you can just bypass going to Bowerstone, and not like bypass in the story progress sense, but you can just kind of skip it and you can get all the way to Oakvale. Like, and I kind of figured, like, as I was going, I was like, oh, I'm going to get to Barrow Fields and it's going to be locked or something. No, you can just walk right in before you even talk to Maze, before he's even like, hey, yeah, your sister might be alive. We'll get to that. It was cool, though. By the time I got there, I had killed a bunch of stuff, and I had already got an obsidian axe and I think a full kit of, like, dark leather. So I really took my time. I just kind of explored around. It was fun. It was cool. I'd never done that before. But yeah, so this is a thing that I do want to talk about because there is another Fable game coming out at the time of recording this. It's the Fable again, I guess. One thing that, okay, let me back up here. Fable does something that was very old school RPG from back in the day. It was an older game. It came out in the early 2000s, and modern RPGs that I'm aware of don't really do it. And it's what I'm going to call kind of like a semi-open world. And it's where instead of having one giant world where you can interact with everything, you basically go to a place, and then within that place, there's independent zones that you can go into. There's designated entrances, exits. There might be multiples. Doesn't really matter. My thing that I kind of want to see in the new Fable, and people may disagree, but I think that there is still some value in that kind of design. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my Skyrims, I love my Breath of the Wilds, I love being able to just go anywhere from the get-go, but there is something to be said too about knowing the exact path somebody may come from. And I don't even think that really limits your choices per se. I think if you have, for what it's worth, less game, less things to consider, you can alter those zones in ways that are more affected by the world or the choices the player has made. I feel like I'm explaining it bad, but I think the general vibes are there. Like, if you always know the direction a player's going to come from, if you know the choices that they've made and how they can interact with things, you can just build those zones around that as they happen. You can make the world a little more dynamic instead of just kind of being this amorphous mass that's basically available from the get-go, with maybe the exception of a few games or few zones that are like maybe kind of locked off based on story progress or abilities, or just are insanely hard, but you can technically beat it, from the beginning. So I it's just one thing that I like. I feel like at least in the games I play, you don't see it a lot anymore. And it's just, yeah, that semi-open world. Fable 2 kind of did it too. You have zones you go through, and the zones were actually a lot bigger. I wish you could play Fable 2 like on anything other than a 360. I don't think you can, but boy, that would have been the game I played. Not going to even talk about 3. I never even beat that one. But we're getting off topic. Semi-open world thing is just something I like. I'm not going to dwell on it too long. It's a thing that as I went back and was playing the game, it was just something I came to appreciate. It kind of, I don't know, it reminded me of like older RPGs of the time, like your Paper Marios, or just really any game that has one zone that you then walk off screen or through a doorway to the next zone. I think that is cool. And though that I think is a little bit of a dated design, or was probably a limitation of the hardware at the time, because you probably really couldn't have those giant world spaces on an old school 360 or even computers at the time, really. Um, I think that there is still something there from that. And I'm not saying that the new Fable would be worse if it didn't have that, but I think it would feel a lot like every other game, because aside from that, I maybe this is a hot take, but I feel like all Fable really has is maybe the humor, the zones, very few specific enemies, Hobbs, Balverines, maybe the way they interpret trolls. Like, there's just, I don't know. Maybe I missed out on the lore. Maybe I should have read more books in the game, but there's just, I don't know. So that's my two things. Where did I leave off here? I don't even know where I'm at in my notes. So eventually I went back and I was like, hey, Omaze, what up? And he talked to me and he says, hey, dude, your sister might be alive. And I'm like, yo, that's sick. That's great. And then he says, you look like shit. Get new stuff. And I'm like, dude, I have more gold than you at this point in the game, probably, and a full set of leather gear and this lovely obsidian axe. And the dude's out here telling me I look like shit. So, but no, you basically run into Maze and Bowerstone. He tells you your sister's alive and that, hey, you should, head to Oakvale to maybe look into that. Like, you don't know. And so, this was a thing I guess I just never noticed, but because maybe I was a dumb child, but it's kind of cool because most of the quests that you go to kind of just incrementally lead you toward Oakvale. Once again, probably limitation of the time. I don't think you're going to be going to Knothole Glade early by any means, but it's just one of those things that, I don't know, looking at it in a vacuum is kind of cool. I guess all games kind of do that, but once again, in open world games, I feel like it's really easy to get off track. But even in this game, like, as you go, at least in the very beginning by the guild, there are a lot of other paths you can take just to kind of do stuff. And that's pretty cool. There's nothing you can really do there. Maybe a couple chests to open, bandits to kill, but I digress. It was neat. I'm trying to look at it through a different lens, damn it. Touching on those quests that I just kind of talked. The first one is like, hey, there's a place called Orchard Farm. And this is kind of one of and this is a gripe on an old game, and I want to be fair to it. But a lot of the choices in this game boil down to do the obvious good thing or do the obvious bad thing. Kill everybody on the farm or help the farm make it through a bandit raid. And it's like, okay, well, all right, great, good and evil. That's the theme of the game, and I would say, yeah, they did that. It's kind of funny because in the beginning, whatever quest you take, your roommate / maybe friend / whatever whispers like, hey, I'm gonna take the other one, and so this farm has like stones or some magical MacGuffin, and you either save it or whatever. But whenever you get there, the farmer, he's like, dude, yeah, I've already lost a ton of farmhands to these bandits trying to get these things. I wish I'd never found them. And then Whisper takes the quest to help the bandits steal this, and you fight them off. You kill the bandits, you do the thing. And then on the very next quest, you're just there with Whisper killing Hobbs, and it's like the fucked up thing is like, regardless of what side you took, you or Whisper is directly responsible for like, well, I guess not directly responsible, but you literally allied with the people that killed his farmhands. And he's just like, you know what? We got bigger things to deal with. We got Hobbs on the farm now. Go see who can kill the most of those. And it's like, what is this game? This game's silly. Anyway, yeah. So you do that. You do the Hobbs and you kind of find around, yada, yada, yada. And you make your way through quite literally the sketchiest trading path I've ever seen, through a place called Witchwood, which is just dead, dying, decaying trees the whole time. And it's just full of the absolute worst things. It was at this point where I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do something dumb. And this might be a controversial thing. There is a glitch in this game. Come here. There's a glitch in this game where you can walk back and you can just go, boop, and you can phase under the ground and you can get the end game sword, the blade of eons, and you can just have it for like the whole game. And I was like, you know what? I feel like that's a thing. So I looked it up, figured out how to do it, and I did that. I don't know why I did that. I don't want to say it contributed to some of my later gripes that we are now coming up to, but it was fun. It was fun to have a giant, very clearly two-handed sword being used as a one-hander for the remainder of the run. Although I did kind of switch off and on of it if spots were too simple. I was like, whatever. Yeah. So I went back and got that. I made it back to Oakvale. It turns out the game just kind of assumes you've never been there before. Dumb on its part, whatever. So you get there, and Maze is like, hey, I haven't been able to find anything out about your sister. But, the bandits that attacked you and, killed your whole family, yeah, they still attack this shit, like, all the time. Anyway, among them is a blind seeress who has led them to a prosperous, I guess, future, because they're still able to exist and attack the farm or the city. I don't know. But yeah, go do something about that. Maybe she'll know where your sister is. So you're like, yeah, okay, cool. Let's do that. That sounds cool. Part 2. Did I read the first one? Part 1 was Starry-Eyed Beginnings. Hold on. Let's make fun of myself for the notes that I wrote 3 days ago. Part 2. Nostalgia begins to wear off. So the way that this blind seeress quest opens up, and I just want to say, I hate this quest. I always hated this quest. And I think it's because the beginning of it opens up with a stealth mission. The only stealth mission in the fucking game for some reason. And it's just so bad. And I'm not saying it's hard. It's just awkward. It's random. And it's literally never done again. And I even kind of went back and I was like going through the quests and Googling it and just seeing, hey, was there any other quest that used stealth? No, there's not. There's simply none in the game. Maybe in the Lost Chapters. We'll get to that in part 4 or whatever. And so here's I'm going to kind of read this sort of as I wrote it in my notes, because this is kind of the first point in the game where I found myself sort of, let's say, speed running to get through. I am no speed runner, but you know what I mean. So you have to stealth past the first set of bandits to get into the camp. Then you have to trape through this other area and collect the bandit uniform to get into the next camp. Then to get to the next area, I just kind of skipped over it. Then I'm just gonna read it. It's funny. Then you stealth past the bandits to get into the camp. You have to get a full bandit uniform to get into the next camp. Then to get through the next thing, you got to get through the next camp. And then one more time, you have to get to the next area through the next camp. Basically, you do the uniform because it turns out Twin Blade, the leader of the bandits who's been attacking Oakvale, has been really paranoid lately for some reason. I don't know. Kind of skipped over it. Bad on my part. Whatever. So he wants every bandit to be in uniform. And apparently, like, one of the bandits is like, hey, yeah, he wouldn't let old Fred in the other day because he lost his bandana. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? So you get in, you get all the stuff because they're all luckily hidden in treasure chests. And then you have to get through to the elite camp, which is yet another camp. And so to do that, you either have to do this, like, whole quest where you can, like, do a memory game, or I just killed everybody. Because killing bandits gives you good karma. And I was doing a good run. And so I'm just like, why the fuck would I deal with this? This memory game sucks. I'm getting old. So I'm just going to slaughter all the bad guys. And it turns out when you do that, they open the gate and big bandits come out. And then you kill them and you just get to walk through. And then in the next area, you're supposed to, like, free the captives, which I think I did that. No. Yeah. So I killed everybody in the next area too. I did the exact same thing. And one of them dropped a key, and I was like, oh, hey, yeah, so they got captives. I dropped the key. I'll go ahead and free them. And then they just kind of opened the gates because they were like, oh, the captives are escaping, and you had to, whatever. Basically, you can skip all the bullshit. You can make this quest go so quickly if you just kill everybody. You get into Twin Blade's camp, and there's a boss fight that I can only really describe as old. It's not bad, but whenever he'll swing, you dodge, then he'll stab his sword into the ground, you go behind him and you hit him 3 times, even though you can clearly hit him more. And, as I said, I'm holding the freaking Blade of Aeons, the literal endgame weapon, and it just bounces off his bare skin, and it's just like, yeah, okay, whatever, this is an old game. But you beat Twin Blade, and surprise, it turns out the blind seeress is none other than your sister. So she's like, hello, brother. I think the audio died, so we're just gonna splice these together. So it turns out the blind seeress is your sister, and she's just like, all right, cool. I guess I had amnesia. That's all coming back to me now. Hey, that all sucks that, dad died and mom probably died and I got my eyes cut out. But hey, uh, here is some power. And I don't, she kind of just does this little magic-y thing and you get some power, I guess. I don't know that it actually does anything. I think it's just a story thing because you don't get any extra health or anything that I really noticed. So that is neat, I guess. After that, she promptly pisses right off, and you're left to deal with the rest of Twin Blade's camp. And so naturally, I'm playing a good guy, so I totally slaughtered Twin Blade. And I don't usually do that, but it was kind of funny because I forgot. So whenever you're fighting him, there's like a ring of like 20 or something bandits around that if you get close to, they kind of hit you back into the ring. It's kind of cool. If you get to the end of that fight, you don't actually kill Twin Blade when your sister Teresa comes out to do whatever the hell it is she does, and she pisses off, and you get to deal with them. And I'm explaining this so badly, but you can choose to continue the fight, and if you do, that ring of bandits, they're all like, "No, don't kill that dude. We like him for some reason." And you have to fight all of them and him. And I had the Blade of Aeons. It was no contest, but it's cool. It kind of was like, that happened. You clear out the camp, and as you're leaving, you get your quest completion card, yada, 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 and then you get the next storyline quest. Basically, the Guildmaster messages you, and he's like, "Hey, dude, Maze has something for you. You want to come back and talk with him?" And I was like, last time he had a request for me, I explored half the country, so I'm going to go do that again. So I just ran around and did side quests, killed Hobbs, went into the Hob Cave, freed a kid. It's just really, just did my thing. Eventually, I went and met with Maze, and he's like, "Hey, dude, listen, I got a friend. His name is a title. He's called the Archaeologist because everybody has to have a title in this game for some reason. The Guildmaster, Jack of I guess whatever. So I don't know where he is, and I'm worried about him. Will you go to? It's not Holglade. Oh my God, what's the name of it? Witchwood? No, that's the creepy forest. Hold on, it is in my notes. It is Witchwood. I'm an idiot. I've been calling the weird creepy forest Witchwood. I don't even remember what that forest is called. Maybe we'll come back to that. So you head to Witchwood, which is kind of this like island area, and you're trying to find this archaeologist for Maze. And this is not the first time you interact with them, but one of the other things in my rants earlier, I completely forgot to mention about Fable that it has, which is unique to its identity, demon doors. So they're like these little doors that talk to you. Sometimes they have funny voices, sometimes they rhyme. And they basically give you like a quest or a task or some crazy esoteric thing to do, and they'll open. And sometimes they have really cool weapons, armor. Sometimes they just give you kind of like a potion that kind of gives you more experience based on what your combat multiplier is. I'm not going to get into all that. They're cool. They're fun. They're like an iconic part of the series. So iconic that I missed them in my rant earlier. I know the archaeologist is hidden behind the demon door, but I tried to play it like I wasn't. And this was kind of one of the first instances of I feel like the game was railroading you really hard into the main story. And I don't want to say that's a bad thing, but the side content kind of fizzles out. A lot of the like quests and stuff in cities just don't end up being a whole lot. They're like, go here and get this thing or give me X thing. Like so doing quests in cities was kind of meh. And then the quests at the guild that they had that were not the main quest, they're called silver quests, were kind of meh. So at this point, there's just not a lot to do. So you're like, I don't know what that tangent was about. You're trying to get through this demon door. I'm playing it like I don't know. So I'm like, you know what? I did this earlier. I just kind of went until I got like naturally stopped because you can't do the bandit quest until you talk to Maze anyway. So I was like, let's see where the stopping point is here in Witchwood. And I was sort of disappointed because I had never actually naturally found out how to open the demon door to get to the archaeologist. You walk by it on your way, like right when you get into Witchwood, basically, and you walk by it. It says, "Hey, unless you know my name, I'm not going to let you through. Piss off." Okay, cool. How do I find its name? I'm going to go try to find this archaeologist dude. Maybe it'll come up. The literal next loading area, right at the beginning, like right there, the first fucking dude who talks to you is just like, "Yo, want to know how to get in the demon door? I know its name." And he's like, "Give me a ruby." It's hits. And I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying it's just a little lame. Because say you're a new player, you've not played the game, you just got the answer to this thing that you just walked by, that you've been encountering these things throughout the game. So you're naturally curious. You're like, oh, shoot, this one's going to be easy to solve. And you go in, and it's just the next part of the quest. I'm not saying that's bad either. I'm just saying it's a little lame, that it's just right there. If you've done anything, unless you're selling all your stuff all the time, you have a ruby to give the guy. It's just, I don't know. It was just kind of like, oh, I had a friend tell me this when I was a kid, but I was always kind of curious how you get through the door, because I guess after you get in, that NPC is just not there. So, I don't know. It was just like, oh, well, that's kind of disappointing. I said that was stupid and just kind of continued onward, though. You can actually make it all the way to the entrance to Knothole Glade, which is just surrounded by Balverines, one of my favorite enemies in the game, even if they are just weird werewolves that are very jumpy. They have the zoomies. Also, Balverines are weak to silver weapons, which the Blade of Aeons does not deal damage because it doesn't have a silver enhancement on it. They're called augmentations in this game. They're really cool. So it's still a good sword, but it's not that good against Balverines. You could probably do a lot better. Anyway, you go in, you go into the demon door, and you're like, hey, I'm here to save you. You're the archaeologist, right? And he's like, yes, I am. And you're a dick because now they'll be able to find me. Oh, I wish I'd never studied the focus sites. And man, that might come up again later. But yeah, you go back to the guild, and I need to look at my notes again. Going back to Balverines, apparently. You got to go back to the guild, and you get the next quest, and it's to stop the white Balverine that's just terrorizing Knothole Glade. So you do that. You kind of go through, and turns out your weapon does no damage to it. You know, your game-ending final weapon, yada yada, whatever. You just kind of have to hit it a bunch, and you do that enough, and the mayor of Knothole Glade is just kind of like, yo, there used to be this like legendary Balverine slayer that lived in town. He died, but his wife's still around. Maybe she'll know something. So you go up there, and she's just kind of like, yeah, my husband, he died fighting the last white Balverine, and he did kill it. He did go out on a W. However, he's not actually dead. The Balverine bit him, and now he is the Balverine. Oh no! So you go out of your way, and you fight the white Balverine, and you take it out, and you're stubborn, and you're using the Blade of Aeons and just brute forcing it as it's summoning wave after wave of regular Balverine, and the fight takes surprisingly long, and you do it. You kill the last white Balverine. The last one. The last white Balverine. It's the last one, guys. So you go back and tell them you killed that, and he's like, yeah, cool. You know what I'm going to do for you, buddy? I'm going to recommend you to the arena. And the arena is an iconic quest in Fable. It's just, we'll get there. I'm going to recommend you to the arena. So naturally, you get to the arena, and let's talk about that. Part 3. I'm already here, I guess. This was the second time I found myself kind of speedrunning through the game a little bit again. There wasn't a whole lot to do in Knothole Glade, and maybe there was. I feel like I was sort of like falling off a little bit from it. So I was like, you know what? Let's go back to the arena. By this point, I had done a ton of side stuff, and in doing the side stuff, you kill a ton of enemies, you get a ton of bullshit, and you can sell it, you can collect it from the corpses, and I had a ton of gold. So by the point that I got to the arena, I was wearing mostly chainmail and leather, and by the time I got into the arena, I had pretty much all plate, like light plate, and some chainmail left, which was really cool. Previously, when I was a kid, I'm sure I didn't, but later times that I had played it, there's kind of like a money exploit you can do, where you kind of like put like a thing in your house. I'm not going to explain it all. You can Google it. But like you put a thing in your house, sell it, go in, take it off the wall, buy the house for cheaper, and you can just basically get free money over and over by destroying the real estate market. Normally I do that. I didn't this time because I'm like, I plan on doing all the side stuff. I'm curious how far gold can really go. Had been a while since I'd done that. It was kind of cool. I like gold management. I feel like by late game or mid game in a lot of RPGs, you're just, well, no, not really a lot of RPGs, but many. You're just so stacked with gold, especially ones you've played before, because you kind of know the items you need or what you want to do or what you want to build. It's just kind of not as entertaining. It's like an aspect of the game you just don't think of. And it was kind of cool to think of it because like I found myself like, no, I want to save my money because by the time I get to this point in the game, I want to have this armor. which was dumb on my part because there's this little system in the game called boasting, and you can, like, whenever you take a quest, you can basically walk out to a platform amongst a bunch of commoners and be like, yo, I am going to do this quest naked. No one's going to die. I'm going to find $10. And you just have to do that. And so I bought all that, and I forgot that I boasted that I would do the quest naked. So fuck the armor. I did it naked. Let's get into the arena, because this is kind of, its own thing. The arena is kind of like a gauntlet. It's basically, and it's the arena. What else is it going to be? There's like a million arenas in games. They're all basically the same shit. The arena is just a gauntlet, wave after wave of enemies of escalating difficulty. Basically, it goes like, oh my god, this was a funny one. Hold on. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, no, I didn't write anything cool. Boring. It basically goes like, you kill wasps, you kill bandits, you kill undead, you kill balverines, several of which, in the final stages of that, are white balverines. So I guess that dude, or that chick's husband, either bit a ton more people, or maybe that wasn't the last balverine. Regardless, joke's on you, buddy. You didn't finish your dream. You died before you could do it. So, sucks to be you, I guess. Like, kind of a middle finger to that quest that just immediately came before this one. But as you're fighting in the arena, they're like, hey, yo, here's Whisper. You love her, right? You love Whisper. She's just been great taking the other quests that directly oppose yours and being just a real dick to you throughout the game. Yeah, you love her. Let's put you in a situation. So you fight the rest of the waves, and this is always the part where the arena kind of sours me. And it did this time, too, because she just sucks so bad. She's got like these like lantern things she throws, and sometimes they just hit you and they knock you over, and it's just fucking obnoxious. You do all the fights and you get to the end, and you fight a giant scorpion boss, and I kind of like the boss. It's not hard. It's just like a lot of the bosses in this game, it just kind of has that like old school, old game feel. It does a thing. This is your opportunity to attack. You get 2 or 3 hits in, and then you back off and then repeat. It's not particularly hard. It's not even particularly engaging, but it's kind of fun. And I don't know. I'm an old man. My eyes don't work anymore. And it's just kind of cool to go back and re-experience that. I'm sure there's some other games that do that now, but we're talking Fable. You kill the scorpion. It's fine. Then who else but the sponsor of the arena comes out, the now far more intimidatingly voiced Jack of Blades. And he says, as he wears what I would say is the second most iconic mask in video games, hey, let's double the prize. That's not it. Let's double the prize. Victor takes all, last person standing. And it's like, okay, here's another one of those fun choices. Do you kill your childhood friend, or do you just let her live and don't take the gold? It's like, well, I'm playing a good guy, so I'll let her live, even if she is kind of an asshole. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. So I left her alive. Oh, cat. Hi. Okay. Yeah. Bye. Sorry, kitty. I left her alive, and then that's pretty much it. You walk out of the arena, and then you're basically getting escorted by a guard out, and he's talking about how you're a badass. Or no, I'm not even talking about that. I don't give a shit. You get escorted out by a guard, and he's like, this is the Hall of Heroes. These are all the people who beat the arena before you, and one of them is, gasp, your mother. Turns out she was a Billy badass victor of the arena too, but also a Balverine slayer, because there's just a lot of those in this game for some reason. Jack of Blades kind of pops out from behind you all intimidatingly, menacingly. And he's like, yeah, no, Scarlet Robe, the resemblance is uncanny, dog. Like, yeah, she'd be probably pretty proud of you. Do you know that she's in Bargate Prison? She's alive. I so wish to reunite you. Anyway, here's a guild seal. I'm not a bad guy. And then he pisses off. And then you leave, and you get a text message from your sister, and she's like, hey, come see me. We have much to talk about. And she's like, hey, actually, Jack of Blades is a bad guy. The guy with the crazy mask, dressed in all red with the literal demon voice, is the bad guy. So there's that. By the way, here's a book about the sword you have. Small gripe. I tried to read it because I was like, I'm doing that this time. All the books in this game, whenever you go into the menu to read them, they auto-scroll at their own speed. And I think I was trying to go fast, I guess, but I didn't read shit because why would they not make it where you can use, at least in the remaster? By then this was normal thing. You want to read a book, you can hit left or right or go up and down to make it scroll or go to the next page. Why do I have to wait to read a book and then it scrolls weirdly fast? And so like if stuff's kind of confusing, you reread. I don't know. I didn't read shit. I did give it a good old college try, but yeah. Turns out Jack of Blades was actually the one behind the bandit raid. He cut out your sister's eyes and all that. And I mean, the good thing is, I guess, turns out only your dad died. That's something. Everybody else is alive. Traumatized, but alive. So your sister's like, she's being held at Bargate Prison. Like, you should really go save her. She's like, what do you want me to do? I'm blind. And you're like, yeah, okay, bet. So you're like, how do I get there? And she's like, ask the archaeologist, because everybody knows this guy. He would probably know a way in. And oh boy, this part of the game. Hold on. Hang on. Where does part 4 begin in my notes here? Because boy, do I have stuff to talk about here. Search for your archaeologist. So, turns out the archaeologist is being hunted by Jack. I'm skipping over Northern Bowerstone. I don't give a shit. I've done that a million times. If you want to see that whole part of the game with the conspiracy and all that, just go do it. I don't care. So I skipped through all that, valiantly skipping over the mayor's quest and going straight to the plot, completely not doing what I said I was going to do in the opening of this video. And I just said, hey, where the archaeologist at? And the guards that were apparently with him were like, oh yeah, they took him. Who's they? And then a bunch of Jack's minions pop up. And these fucking minions, I swear to God, all these bastards can do is block. You hit them once, they block. You assassin rush spell behind them, they block. It's the most infuriating thing. I promise you, I'm okay. So, you fight through, a couple waves of enemies. They have like little old school enemy force fields up. You got to kill them, and then it opens the next area, and you do it, yada, yada, yada. You get to the last area, and naturally, you are on a time limit. So all these enemies that just block non-fucking stop are now on a time limit. It always stressed me out when I played this game as a kid, and I hated it now. And I had the blade. I have the blade of Aeons. I have the fucking the sword that if Jack gets that he wants, he can just take the world over. And these guys can block it with a wooden fucking staff, and I'm good. It's just frustrating. I'm not even against enemies blocking and do it. There's just like 7 of them around you at any given time, and they just keep blocking, and you're just like slash, pick, pick, pick. That's the noise it makes. That's the noise it makes whenever you hit a thing. Pick, just like a little tink. Oh God. So you get through, you save the archaeologist, and he's like, yeah, you got to go through the old graveyard, but thanks for saving me. Actually, no. Fuck you for saving me. If you didn't find me in the first place, I wouldn't be in this mess. And it's just like, cool, okay, dude, whatever. Fuck you too. And so he pisses off, and then you're just like, all right, cool, I'm going to go to the graveyard. And I why do you have to go to a graveyard to break into prison? I don't know. I actually like the graveyard sequence. Oh, man. There's a dead dude who's like, hey, actually, I'm going to try this. He's like, my armor, my helmet, my sword, and my shield, gather for me, and the path I shall yield. I probably butchered that, but I always thought it was kind of cool. He's got this like whispery voice, and he's just talking. Basically, you go through the graveyard, and there is a thing at the end, like a tomb of like an old hero. You walk by, and there's a demon door, and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to open unless you help Nostro, who's the grave of the hero you go to. And it turns out all of his shit got stolen. You already know that by the time you get there, because there's a little cutscene when you get in. But basically, the current grave groundskeeper guy broke in, and all his gear was just sitting there, because that's what a fucking tomb would have, obviously. Like, I don't know why you're surprised. But you go through, you gather it, you fight off the undead, and the whole time you're fighting off the undead, you accidentally kill the gravekeeper. It was an accident. I messed up on my targeting. I got a negative karma point for it, but I was like, yeah, you know what? He's a grave robber. Probably didn't deserve to die, but, he was kind of an asshole too, so it'll probably all evens out. You open the demon door, you fight your way through, and you kind of like... Part 4. I'm getting a little bored. So here's the thing. I don't like this part of the game. I don't like the prison section. It's always felt kind of weird because you go from a sewer or not a sewer, you go from a graveyard down into a sewer, and you kind of come up, and you go back down into a sewer, and then you kind of like come up in the grave or I just you come up in a prison, and I'm just like, how does any of that? Whatever. I'm gonna kind of briefly describe the prison. Basically, you come up through the sewer, you fight some guards to get in, and as soon as you enter, literally the first friggin' doorway, oh, mother, you're alive. And she yells at you. She's like, no, you're not supposed to be here. I don't want to. Let's get out of here quick. You're already here. Let's just go. So you break her out, and you walk literally like one doorway down the path you just broke in through. And Jack Blades is just like, ha ha ha, you thought, you thought. And he captures you, and he throws you in jail along with your mother. Coincidentally, it happens to be the warden's birthday. Every year on the warden's birthday, you have a race, and the one who wins the race skips out on getting tortured that day. But instead, you have to listen to him kind of recite like the most like pretentious poetry you've ever heard, which is actually really funny. I've always thought that was really funny. And oh, actually, you know what? I was wrong earlier. You do sneak. You sneak right here, because whenever he is talking his poetry, you can fucking sneak around him, and you get the code to his diary, I guess. And it's like, the code this year is 1234. And it's like, why would you write that on the board? And then you sneak back by him and you open his diary, because what you're looking for is a key. You have to win a race to go in to read a billboard that he puts his internet username and password written down right there for anyone to see. And you go back over to his diary and you put it in. And he's apparently got 3 of them because they're all right there, and you never get it on your first try. And then you get sent back to jail. And you get to do the race over again. And whenever you inevitably win, you repeat. You sneak back by him. You get that year's code. And it literally says this year's code. Like, he's just like, he uses the same code. He changes his password once a year. And just, the book is still open on his desk. My man writes poetry for fun, and he's got 3 poetry fucking journals on his desk, and the one you already picked is just still left open, like he didn't fuck with it for a year. Dude's a hack. He's lying. He wrote like 3 poems, and anyway. I don't know if it's programmed for you to get it on the second time, but I always seem to get it on the second time. And then it's, you break out of your cell. I always break out the other inmates, and you get your shit, and then you leave. You gather your mom up, you go back through the sewers, and for some reason or another, Jack is just inexplicably not there. That's the prison. There's a Kraken fight. You have to do that in the sewer. Once again, a little out of place. Not going to complain too much. The fight's not particularly good. It's fine. I like it because, like I said earlier, all the fights in the game kind of have that old school feel. Let me bitch about this for a minute. Let me complain. So, I feel like I've said this for every time I've had to complain, but I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't think I like this. You have a very specific way, and I'll complain about this again in the last fight, but you have a very specific way that you have generally been building your character. And I feel like the prison, it takes all that away. It puts you into this segment of the game where you're not really doing anything. You can't fight anything. And if you do anything, like if you punch a guard or whatever, you have to wait another year. And it's just more time that passes. And I don't like when games take full control away from just completely take away your player agency. And it's probably because I play D&D, but they just make irreversible changes to your character. And when I say irreversible, this is a very minor thing. I'm all about aesthetics in video games. I don't know why. Like, you'll find that out eventually. Trust me. Oh boy. But it ages your character, and there's nothing you can do about it. And all aging your character really does in Fable is it makes your hair like, I don't want to say gray. I think it's supposed to be gray, but honestly, it's more of a blonde. It might just be like a texture thing, but I don't know. Regardless, I don't like it. It gives you a haircut. It cuts all your stuff, or it shaves your shit off, and you're just stuck there doing the same thing at minimum twice, which I feel like is a major or a minor nitpick, but I don't know. I've just never liked it. The boss fight at the end isn't particularly good. I don't know. I don't like when games do that and they just make the decision for you. I'm not saying it can't be done well. I'm mostly just saying I don't feel like it was done here. A lot of this game, like the stealth mission, the arena, it feels just like, excuse me. Oh man. Excuse me. It feels just like they did this because this is a video game and here's the things we have to do. You start in a forest, you go through a dead forest, you go to like a farmland, eventually there's like a swamp. We need an arena, we need wolves, it's just, I don't know. Oh, we need a kraken. Just put the fucking kraken in the sewer. It doesn't matter. No one gives a shit. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just complaining to complain, but the Bargate prison section of this game, I don't know. It just always rubbed me the wrong way. You fight the kraken. Your mother, she's like, hey, you've done well. Thanks for saving me, I guess. Here's another story-based power boost that I don't think actually does anything. And then she, like your sister, promptly pisses off. But she can talk to you through your guild seal now, so that's pretty cool. So from there, you leave the graveyard, you go back to the guild. They're like, yo, you've been gone for like 2 years. You good? Except they don't. And they're like, hey, yeah, head to the Northern Wastes, I guess. Jack is up to something there. So you do a quest in the sketchy woods, and you open a portal, and you go there, and oh no, there's a barrier. And then you go back to get the guild master because Jack captures your mom or something. And no, that doesn't happen until later. Here's the thing. This part of the game just kind of blends together. And I just played this like 4 days ago. Basically, you go to the north. There's a gate. You can't get through. I don't even know anymore. You go to the north. There's a gate you can't get through. Something happens to your mom. You get the guild master to read this like chant in a book that breaks in, and lo and behold, there's your sister, and gasp, Maze. Turns out he was working for Jack of Blades the whole time. And as he's sitting there kind of like fumbling, trying to be like, no, your sister, she went nuts. I was trying to subdue her. To Jack of Blades is like, psych, and he subdues you. And then Maze is like, good, whatever. This ritual will be way easier with both of them. And you're like, great, cool. This is awesome. This part of the game, I'm sorry. Let me try to do this in a way that's not me complaining. I feel like I've just been complaining for the last bit here. Your sister frees you right before Jack teleports away with her, leaving you to kind of like deal with Maze. You have to fight him. And I think it's supposed to be kind of sad because like at the end after you beat him, and what is probably the worst boss fight in the game, he's like, you want to know why I did it, boy? I'm a coward. Some people don't all embrace death. That's it. Which, I mean, as far as motivations go, it's fine. It's whatever. Like, I'm not going to sit here and critique the narrative, integrity of a 20-year-old game, but it's fine. And it's sad. And then from there, Jack is basically activating the focus sites, the thing that I never, circled back around to because I decided not to read the book because I don't like the auto-scrolling. And you basically track Jack place to place, and I think this is maybe where your mom also gets kidnapped. I don't know. I at this point, I was just kind of like going through the motions. This is where I found myself really just playing because I'm here. And eventually he activates them all. You go back to the guild for one final confrontation, and he kills your mom right in front of you, and he gets the same sword you already have. And this fight, fuck this fight, honestly. It's not hard. It's just kind of annoying. He keeps summoning those minions from earlier that block you. And God, I feel like even as I'm doing this, like as I get to this point in the game, I'm already fizzling out a little bit. Like it's like the exact same thing from when I played the game. Like he's summoning the minions to fight you, and they're blocking, and he's attacking you, and you can kind of melee him in this fight, but this is another thing that just kind of pisses me off. Like he just uses a shield and stops you from hitting or dashes away. Like you can't really use melee. And I think the game even knows this because in the chamber right before the boss fight, it's like, hey, here's a decent bow you can use. You're going to need that, idiot. Hope you've been training your skill. The boss fight, it's just shoot him with the bow, and then he grabs his mask and screams and dies. And then it's like, okay, bro, your sister was here the whole time, by the way. Sorry, mom died. We're just not going to talk about that. You can kill me and get the sword, or you can throw it into the void. It's gone forever. And I'm a good guy, so I did that. And then once more, your sister kind of just pisses off. She's like, I got to go plan for Fable 2. It's 100 years away, but it's never too early to start. And that's the base game. I started the Lost Chapters. I did. And I did the opening quests where you have to like free the prophets that just kind of appear out of nowhere. I fought the summoners. I made it to the north wastes or whatever the hell it was. I made it to the city there, and then like there's a demon door there that says, "Hey, give me all your silver keys." And if you haven't collected any, he's like, "How have you not collected any? You dick. I guess you technically gave me all of them." And he opens anyway. "Why do I always get the weirdos?" he says. And I was done. That was it. I got my fix. Part 5. Closing thoughts. I picked this game up and I was so excited to sit down and play it. And in the very beginning, going through a lot of the opening stuff, up until about the Twin Blade camp, I was very much on board. But it feels like as the game progresses, even the devs kind of got more focused on, and obviously so, but they were more focused on getting you through the main story. And that's not a bad thing, but like I was kind of saying earlier with that like semi-open world design, I feel like there's a lot more you can pack in these smaller zones. And it's probably a relic of the time, but it feels like a missed opportunity to me. It might have also been because I was taking notes as I was going, and I think it was a little bit of burnout because, like I said, I kind of have trouble stopping and playing or like actually putting time into games right now. I don't know why. I think it's just I feel bad because I've got other duties, or I could be doing work stuff, or like, hey, I have a kid, maybe I should go clean the house. Like it's just these things, and they all piled up, and I think it was just this giant shit sandwich at the end, and I got my fix. I was done. I love this game. I don't want to seem like the later half of this just me complaining. I do enjoy this game. There's just specific things that maybe I could have done to make it better. Maybe there's different play styles. I didn't really touch on it, but there is like an experience system where you have, 4 different types of experience. There's like your general experience, and then you get separate experience for melee, using your bow, or using magic. And melee lets you get like more damage, toughness. You can take more damage, yada yada. Archery, the skill thing, it kind of lets you make your bow better. You can sneak more, and then magic lets you get more spells, power them up. And then the general one, it can kind of be used to sort of do all of those things, and you always earn that. It's a cool system. I hope they kind of bring something similar to it back in the new game, because I think there's still more there. It's a fairly generic, but I think in that genericness, there is a weird amount of complexity. It's not quite the same as skill trees. It's more of like, it is a skill tree, honestly. It just doesn't have the tree. It's you kind of get to see everything as a line item, and you can add points to it and power it up at your own pace. And I like that. It's charming. Oh, here's the thing. Is this game worth playing? It's 2026. Is the original Fable the Lost Chapters, or the remaster worth playing? If you've never played this game, I think yes. It's an older RPG, if you can really call it an RPG. I guess it is. But it's an older game. It's charming. It's kind of funny where it matters. It's a good time. I was taking my time with it, at least in the beginning. You can beat it in like 6 to 7, 8 hours. It's not a particularly long game. It's not a particularly hard game. It's just kind of fun. It's one and done, and it's good, especially if you're kind of like into older RPGs. If you have played this game, it might be worth revisiting, especially if you haven't done the Lost Chapters content. I've done it before. There's some really cool stuff there. I kind of burnt out and didn't do it here, so I'm not going to spoil anything. I think it's cool, especially if you're like, I went through doing a tank and spank like sort of run. I had a giant sword, that I kind of swapped around with other swords because I didn't want it to be too easy. And I had like one spell that lets me like dash behind people. That was fun. It might have even made the game more enjoyable for me to do other playstyles. You could go straight wizard, you could go straight bow, and the game's pretty forgiving on all of those things. So I definitely think there's enough, I don't want to say depth, but I think there's enough options. I don't really want to say choice because the only thing that the choices in the game really affect is kind of how NPCs interact with you. It's even if you're bad, it's mostly just the same game. People might just scream when you go by. You get a cooler sword earlier. I don't know. It's worth playing. I did have fun. Even as I was like writing my notes every time, kind of complaining, I found myself chuckling. And I know that I sounded really pessimistic in this, but like I do really like this game. And I think that there's a lot of other factors going into it right now, which is what made me honestly just kind of miserable towards the last hour or two of the game. Like by the time I got to the Northern Wastes or whatever and I was fighting summoners, I just did not care. And by the way, there are more white Balverines there that just spawn naturally, like not even in the arena. So like you could argue that dude, the chick's husband, like bit other people around, and that's why there were white Balverines in the arena. That dude was not getting up to the north because like the whole point of that was like, oh, this hasn't been accessed in a long ass time. So like he did not kill the last white Balverine. Like he can die thinking he was a hero. Regardless, it's fun. It's fun. If nothing else, pick it up on a Steam sale. You can get the OG Lost Chapters on Steam, and I think on the last Steam sale it was like $2. I bought this HD remaster one, and it was like $8. You can get it for dirt cheap. It goes on sale periodically. Put it on your wish list. Check your email. Like it's worth $8. Even the original one's worth $8. And of the Fable series, it's like the easiest one to play. To my knowledge, Fable 2 was never brought to PC. I know well, now I'm not so sure. I don't think Fable 3 was, and it's just like the easiest one in the series to play. There's a new one coming out on the horizon, so it seems criminal to me that there's not like easier ways to play these games. So, yeah, I don't know. Closing remarks, thoughts, I don't know. Fable's fun. Check it out. It's a fun series. It mostly doesn't take itself too seriously, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to end things. Stuff that I've got going on. There's another maybe WoW video in the works. It's not the Lore Master. That's kind of on indefinite hiatus. I don't want to go into all the details on that one. Just it was a lot, and hiatus means I can come back to it. I only did Exile's Reach, which isn't even needed for Lore Master. It was just kind of I wanted to learn the process by which to make a video, which I feel I did, although it's been 5 years. I can come back to it, and I could even do a new character because, like I said, all I did was Exile's Reach. That's not even needed for Lore Master. It was just a test run, and I feel it went well. I am marginally. I am quite proud of that video, even 5 years later. That said, the one I say is in the works. It's in the really early planning phases. I was working on a card game. That was kind of cool. It's called Post Fiction. All the rules and stuff are online at postfiction.gg. It's free. It's print and play. You can print your own cards out. It's kind of like if my goal is like, what if Magic met Pokemon meets Yu-Gi-Oh? It's cool. I've made like 4 different versions, and I finally put them up. So the artwork's terrible. It's all hand drawn by me, and it's very generic and not themed right now because like I just wanted something out there that was tangible that I could print and play. It's cool. You basically print the cards, you put them in a sleeve with like a Magic or a Pokemon card, or even like a standard playing card behind them, and you can, if you like a regular card, it's cool. Or don't do any of that. Leave me a comment saying this was the worst thing ever. I mean, if you stuck around at this point, like you've earned pretty much whatever you want. Yeah. So I don't really know how to end these things. I'm surprised I even was able to talk for, what does Audacity say? 1 hour and 12 minutes. Oh my God. I wonder what this is going to be like after I cut it all down. Yeah. Thanks for listening. I hope it was at least somewhat entertaining, even if I did just complain the whole time. And who knows, maybe I'll make another one. I don't know. Another game that's kind of in the same vein for me, like Fable, Ape Escape, maybe next. I don't know. So OG Ape Escape for PlayStation 1. Yeah. Anyway, thank you if you stuck it out. If not, yeah, fair enough. I totally get it. So Have a good one. Bye.